If you've ever been in a quilt store, most likely you've been entranced by precuts. These nicely packaged gems tempt you from across the store, flaunting their colors tied up with bows and flair. However, as they begin to pile up in your stash, you're wondering if they're as special as you think they are. Here are 10 facts you need to know, especially the last one. So stick with me and I'll show you how to do it. Hi, I'm Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. I give you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you make the quilt that you want to make. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. I don't know about you, but I find fat quarter bundles quite mesmerizing. Seriously, they are my kryptonite. But I rarely buy other sizes of precuts. So, back in February, I sent a question out in the socialverse asking quilters, what precuts do you buy and why? And then I took them all for a test drive. And here are the top 10 things that you need to know before you hit that buy button. First, just a little bit of background. Fat quarters had been with us for a while, but the first jelly roll only appeared back in 2006. People were making quilts out of 2.5-inch strips, but they had never actually packaged them together like that.
And then came layer cakes.
Moda was the first company, but the other manufacturers followed soon after.
Quilting cotton is about 44 inches wide, and when you cut a yard in half, you get a piece 18 inches tall, and we call that a half-yard cut. If we cut the half-yard cut in half, we get a fat quarter, which is 18 inches by approximately 22. And if we cut that in half, you get a fat eighth, which is 22 by 9. These three types of cuts are sold in bundles, with one piece from each fabric in the line. Each piece includes part of the selvage, and all the edges are cut with a straight knife. And the price changes on the bundle depending on the number of pieces within the bundle. For jelly rolls and honey buns, fabric is folded in half and stacked on top of each other, so the selvages are one side and the fold is on the other. Then fabric is cut in strips of 2.5 inches for jelly rolls and 1.5 inches for honey buns. There are 40 strips in every roll, but half rolls are available, so always check the quantity. Some or all of the fabrics may be repeated depending on how many fabrics in the collection. All the edges are pink. It includes 2 selvages, and the price is the same across manufacturer and fabric type. With layer cakes, charm packs, and mini charms, the fabric is stacked again, but this time from selvage to selvage. And then the fabric is die cut into 10-inch squares for layer cakes, 5-inch squares for charms, and 2.5-inch squares for mini charms. There are 40 or 42 squares depending on the manufacturer, but there's also half bundles, so be sure to check the quantity. Some or all of the fabrics can be repeated depending on how many fabrics are in the collection. The edges are pinked, there are no selvages on these squares, and the price is consistent across manufacturer and fabric type. There are other pre-packs like hexagons, HSTs, hearts, 4-inch squares, and the quarter shop has these things called jolly bars. But I'm not talking about those today. I'm just talking about the major ones.
There is definitely an ease in cutting. You don't have to manhandle yardage and try and fit it on your cutting board. It's all nice and simple and ready to go. And a lot of patterns that are designed for pre-cut don't have many cuts in them either. And this is especially good for people with accessibility or dexterity issues. And for many people, cutting is just not their thing. It's the part that they like the least about quilting. So buying a pre-cut is a fast and easy way. They come all from the same fabric line. That means they coordinate. And for many quilters, one of the most stressful part of quilting is color. And then there's the challenge of finding coordinating patterns. Buying a pre-cut bundle gives you the confidence that everything will coordinate together with a unifying theme and color harmony. Pre-cut Pre-cut bundles come in all sorts of different price points. So you can buy a fabric line that you like that suits your budget. If you love a certain designer or you love a certain fabric line, you can buy the whole line. You can add it to your stash at the price that you are comfortable with. But there's also a cost to this, but I'll get to that in the last point. When we're looking at fabric, we need a crystal ball. We are trying to visualize that future quilt pattern so we'll know how much fabric to buy. When you buy pre-cuts, you don't need to worry about that. There are so many patterns out there for pre-cuts. There are designers and companies who have built their business around pre-cuts. Many are free. My very first quilt that I ever finished was the Jelly Roll Jam from Fat Quarter Shop. I personally have 4 videos about STASHBUSTERs, and I'll put a link to that down in the notes. I also caution you with all these, the free and the not free patterns, to read the instructions first. Some patterns don't use all of the pre-cuts or the bundle. Some have you slicing and dicing so much you might as well buy yardage. So always check the pattern first. One of the frustrating parts of some pre-cuts is this pinked edge. Different brands have different sizes of pinking, and you do not know where the edge is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the inner part of that pinked edge. But that means I can't use my sewing ledge, which means I might need to trim the square, which negates the whole purpose of buying a pre-cut to begin with. Quilters also complain about the accuracy of this pinked edge in some bundles, so always check it before you buy. This pinked edge also produces a lot of lint, so make sure you clean your machine after every use. A fabric bundle gives you at least one piece of every fabric in the line. The layer cakes, the jelly rolls, and the other ones all give an assortment, and that depends on 1, how many pieces are in the layer cake, and 2, how many pieces are in the line. I bought the layer cake for this beautiful multicolored farm fabric on the top, but I only got 1 of those.
When I laid out the line, I found out the one that they duplicated was the barbed wire.
And I got a lot of barbed wire. In this one, there's 10 fabrics in the line. Therefore, every single one of them has different multiples. I've got 5 of this one, I've got 4 of this one, I've got 3 of this one. So look through the bundle first so you know how much of each fabric you're getting. And the other disadvantage is you do not get to choose the slice of the pattern that you want. So it's not really a problem for, little stripes and little dots, but it becomes a problem with the hero prints. So for this one, this Kathy Doherty print, these beautiful magpies, unfortunately, I do not have one complete magpie frame that I can use. It would have been so much better if this was just cut 2 inches larger. So you'll also have this problem with the hero prints when you move into layer cakes and charm packs, because the main part of that print may be off center. So many people complain about not being able to pre-wash their pre-cuts. But honestly, why are you wanting to wash pre-cuts anyways? Pre-cuts are all about fast and easy. Pre-washing just slows you down. And the resultant shrinkage will most likely mean your fabric is too small to use with pre-cut pattern. If you must wash your pre-cuts for health reasons, put them in a mesh bag and lie them flat to dry, and then adjust your pattern accordingly. When fabric is manufactured, the cross grain can often be pulled out of shape. Now, having a perfect grain is much less of an issue when sewing quilts than sewing clothes. Especially, it's not something you need to worry about when you're a beginner or you're making a fast and easy pattern. When it does become an issue is when your edges begin to fray, and then you get these thread tufts. And if they are disturbed too much, they will pull right back into your seam allowance and make your block too small. A pattern can also be printed off grain. And again, most often this is not going to be an issue with pre-cuts because your pieces are going to be pretty small in your quilt. Check if you've got some stripes, if you've got some strong vertical elements, to be sure that they're within your own personal tolerance level. Now the last point is pricing. I went to 2 major online stores, and these are some prices for some current in-stock items. If we look at the price in terms of cost per square inch, this is the premium that you're paying for a pre-cut. And I checked my math several times. And when you look at the price of pre-cuts in solid colors, the premium is even greater. Now, manufacturers have additional costs for pre-cuts. There's the cost of cutting, there's the cost of folding, wrapping, packaging, and wastage. And for layer cakes, charm packs, and mini charms, you're going to have the wastage of the selvages on the side and any extra little offcut. And you personally have your own concerns. Your skill level, your affordability, your accessibility, and time constraints. So only you can say whether this premium is worth it. I do recommend that you look to your local quilt stores, who often will make their own pre-cut bundles and not charge a premium for it. Stay tuned for next week when I have a stash buster with pre-cuts. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell beside the subscribe button to be notified by YouTube when I make new videos. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Just Get It Done Quilts. So take care, and I'll see you next time.